What's going on, guys? It's Jay Njoku, and hold up, let me make sure I have this mic set properly so I'm not going in and out of audio. So again, this is Jay Njoku, Sticker Principal, and as usual, it's been a while, and I have a very good reason this time. Let's talk about it.
When they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther. You know, every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? That what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.
And now he's been promoted. His job, principal.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I feel as like this is a recurring theme with me. You know, I make a series of videos for a while, then I drop off the face of the planet. But I don't drop off the face of the planet, just that I'm just not making podcast videos. I'm still posting content, photographs, LinkedIn posts, Instagram posts around everything that I'm doing within my school community. And I want to talk about that. Why is that the case? What is happening? Because people keep asking me this. I've been to a couple of events. People are like, Sticker Principal, what's going on? You're not posting any content. And I've been also been, what's the word? I've been scolded about my consistency. So I'll tell you what the issue is. And again, this should come with no surprise. Being a principal, being a school principal, being a principal in New York City, in the South Bronx, in a community that is in need of focus and attention, it's hard. It's hard to balance finding the time after very long days to sit and create content. Any principal will tell you this. Sometimes at the end of the day, when everyone's gone, everything's quiet, you're thinking to yourself, time to myself. It is never time to yourself. Because if I tell you the number of emails I have to get through, I'll be honest with you, the number of emails that I miss because I'm scrubbing through things trying to find what's important because I cannot open every single email. There are days that I would go into my email and there'll be 200 emails in there, fresh, you know, and I have to go through them and make sure that I'm not missing something important because of those emails. Let's say 200, maybe 50 of them look like important emails, but you have to open them, look at them, and realize it's properly worded to get your attention, but it's not from the district, it's not from central, it's from a vendor who's trying to get your attention. So you have to get really good at doing that. Some people might say, hey, why don't you have your secretary go through that? Well, I have one secretary and she handles payroll and procurement and everything else. So to put that on her plate I just can't do that. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't do that. I've tried that before with other schools, but it's very problematic because often my eye can catch what's important. Sometimes what's deemed to be important might not be important, and what's deemed to not be important ends up being like crucial. So as a result, I am always, having to balance so many different things. But not only that, I took over a school that had a history of struggles. So with that being the case, I have to keep my eyes on a lot of things. I'm a believer in distributive leadership. I have strong people on my team, but they're also learning. They're also trying to figure out a lot of things and trying to up their skill sets. I've been doing this for over 20 years now, from the moment I started in New York City schools as a dean, all the way through to an assistant principal, to a principal, and for a good portion of that as a school leader, as an assistant principal or principal. And so as a result, my the way I see things is very specific. So I'm saying also to say that it's very hard to balance that out between all the things you have to do during the school day: instruction, supervision, making sure you're making those contacts with outside entities to bring resources into the building, the visits, parents. That's a big part of it. Engaging with your students is a big part of it. Like I'm a believer that I have to spend time not just in the classroom for instruction, but also spend time with the students, because they will tell you what's happening in the school. Especially if it's school, if you build trust with your students, they will talk to you. My favorite thing in the world is once you've got to that point as a leader where you can say, I can leave my door open and kids will actually walk in, on the way to the bathroom. Hey, Mr. Njoku, can I come talk to you later? Or you're in the cafeteria. They'll wave you over. Come over here. And they'll ask you questions. Sometimes they'll tell you things. Sometimes they just want to know how you're doing. They just want to engage with you. It's very important, the time spent with your students, because guess what that does? It trickles up to their parents or across their parents, who are like, oh my God, my kid, my child always talks about you, talks about the staff. Those are the things I love to hear, because what it does, it minimizes issues you might have with parents when those relationships are not established. And then also being in a co-located building. What I mean by that, you have here in New York City, in my building, there are 3 different schools. There's a high school, and 2 middle schools. And then also navigating the politics of that, making sure that everybody is functioning well in that space. There's always things that have to be negotiated. So that's another thing as well. So enrollment, like this is the season now. It's the season now, but it's been the season all year long. Monitoring my enrollment, making sure we're getting kids and families into the school. As a school that's had a negative narrative about it for several years, almost pushing well over a decade and a half, maybe even longer. Where there's, and even going to the schools, the campuses, iterations in the past that hasn't really been positive. All those things trickle down. So when you're trying to establish enrollment, making sure you have enough kids come into the school, because kids in the seats equal dollars. Dollars equals the ability to hire and provide resources and opportunities for your students. If you don't have enough kids, so now that's another major issue. So we've been working on that the whole entire year long. And so as you can imagine, there's the old adage of a principal being an instructional leader. No. Nope. That's a lie. You are the CEO of a multifaceted company. In some cases, if you don't have the right people, you're the CEO, you're the chief operating officer, you're the chief financial officer, you're the chief happiness officer, you're the chief problem officer, you're the chief negotiations officer, you're the chief everything. Sometimes you're the chief of police in your school. So all these different things and juggles you have to do is exhausting. I'll be the first one to tell you, it is exhausting. But then also, I'm going to tell you the other thing. And those of you school leaders listening to this is very important. This job will also take away from your health. So one of my non-negotiables is that I find the time to exercise and make sure, to the best of my abilities, I'm eating right and doing the right things. I'm not perfect, but from someone who at one point in time in this business of education here in New York City, that weighed 350 pounds, to now being 200 and my walking weight right now is about 215. I remember what it felt like to be 350 pounds. I remember what it felt like to be climbing up the stairs and having to stop at every landing because I was just exhausted. I remember what it felt like to not be able to stay awake because I was always tired, and sleep apnea and everything else. So I'd be sitting in meetings and I would nod off and be snoring. Okay. I used to deny it back in the day, but those of you who know me, have known me for a while, have worked with me, know that was a problem, but it had to do with my health and my weight. So as a result, I've made it a point and a purpose to make sure that I take care of that, which means for me, I got to get up at about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to make it to the gym, then to be able to get out the house enough time to get to work, So a day that starts about, 4:30, 5 o'clock, actually, let's be honest, it's really 4:30. The gym opens at 5, so I try to get there by 5. So by the time I get up at 4:30, work, and then I usually don't get to bed till about 10:30, 11, maybe sometimes midnight, depending on what's happening. So we're talking about running on 5 to 4 hours of sleep every night and doing this every day. It's very hard to find time to create content, but it doesn't mean it's not important. So I am working on trying to find a way to really create a better way of producing content, because I know it helps a lot of people. I know it's helping a lot of people because I've had a lot of people who've reached out to me. I've had several one-on-one conversations. I've been at functions where people pull me to the side and ask me questions and advice, and I've done on-the-spot coaching. So And this is the part of the work that I really love, because beyond just grinding every day in the building and do what I need to do there, which I love tremendously, but there's something to be said about supporting colleagues and aspiring leaders and those people out there who are like, you know, I'm in the core of it, of the work, but I need help. I need guidance. I need someone who can tell me, hey, am I doing this the right way? Because I'm going to tell you this right now. I've been through three leadership training programs. Summer Principals Academy, Columbia, the FH 360 Leadership Academy. Yeah, three. Three programs that had, like, you know, certifications at the end saying like, you are ready to go lead. And I'll tell you one thing, they were all tremendous. The one thing that they couldn't replicate is the reality of the day-to-day. You know, the inconsistencies of the day-to-day. The things that come to your table that is not in any textbook. The things that you could only know from experience. And often the people out there have the experience, but you might not have the experience. You know, or people who have the experience, you might not know who they are or where they exist. So sometimes you just are going through something and just try to figure it out on your own. But by trying to figure it out on your own, the amount of energy and pain you go through, and I'm going to call it what it is, pain that you go through of just trying to figure out. You know, I've seen school leaders, assistant principal deans, principals who've had panic attacks, you know, almost like silent heart attacks. And you see in their face, they're going through it. And often it's because they don't know who to talk to. They don't know where to go. Sometimes they feel like what they're going through is just such a unique thing to them. And that's why I try my best to speak on as many things as possible, and even more recently, be more authentic about, like, hey, I want to talk about the things that no one else wants to talk about, because you're not supposed to talk about it. But how do you lead a school and become the best version of yourself as a leader if you're not willing to talk about all the things that happens and that can happen within a school building? And I liken it to the military. When I was in the military, same thing. There's all these scenarios that can happen. One thing I love about the military, they make it a point to make sure you read and learn about every possible scenario, you know, the good and the bad, because we have to learn and become more efficient in what we do. So that's the thing that I am really leaning on for me as a leader. Like, how do I not only lead my school, but support this great profession of ours, and making sure that leaders are getting what they need, and aspiring leaders are not walking into this field blind. So that's why I've now been creating as much content as possible, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to find other ways to create and streamline this, because the work that I'm doing now in my school, it's not getting any easier. Great things are happening. If you've been following my LinkedIn, you will see I've been posting a lot. There's a lot of great things happening, but that requires a lot of work, a lot of focus, a lot of attention. So just have some patience with me. In the upcoming days and weeks, I will try to figure out a better structure to create more content, and hopefully I can continue to be of service to those who are following my content and appreciate the work that I'm doing. And with that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for those of you who follow, those of you who I run into at different events and functions around education. And it's always weird to hear somebody say, hey, sneaker principal. I'm just like, you know, because it was never for that. It was just a nickname that was given to me by a good friend of mine. I ran with it because I needed a handle for my social media. And I am a sneakerhead and I am a principal. So I put it together, but didn't realize it would turn into something where people actually recognize and say, I appreciate the content you create because it's been helpful to me. So with that being said, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I will talk to you soon. All right. Peace.